One of the comments I get on a video is, I'm thinking to do my residence earlier than I initially planned. And this is a common question that you guys are having for those who are still living outside of Paraguay and are thinking to do their residence in Paraguay. So here is my view on that, based on a number of things I have observed. First principle, usually it's sooner rather than later. Do it earlier rather than later. Why? Because the situation globally is highly unstable. The things are dynamic, meaning that the situation right now will be different. The situation in 3 months' time or even 2 months' time will be different from now, and we don't really know what will happen, okay? So in that context, you rather do it now, as soon as you can, rather than letting it sleep and move it to somewhere later. If you do not have any constraint to do it early. Because sometimes people have big constraints, like for instance, you've got someone in your family which is ill, or you absolutely have to sell this property, or your children have some engagements, whatever is retaining you from moving. We are in a context where the trend is pretty clear, and especially in the West. It's more control, it's more brainwashing. And in that context, factor in as well that in the West, there's a bunch of regulation in place now and coming later on, which aim at preventing you from leaving the West. So there's two trends worldwide. There's a lot of trends, but I see two trends. There's the South moving to the North, so basically a lot of migration from not developed or developing country to the West, and there's a strategy of the elites for that. And then there's people in the West who know what's happening, are trying to move to the South, which is very paradoxical, like the South moving to the North and the North moving to the West, to the South. But so the people from the South are welcome to the North, to the West, basically, and because it's a strategy. But if you live in the West and you're trying to move to the South, the government doesn't want you to leave, and they make it more harder and harder. I think in Netherlands and Belgium there will be a new law in 2025 where you're obliged to pay an amount of tax before you leave. Canada is the same strategy, trying to retain you. France as well. It's a clear trend of trying to prevent you from leaving the West. Although we will make your life a nightmare here, please stay in the West, if you see my point. And so in that context, you don't want to be in a context where there's new law coming that prevents you from moving, especially in regard to financial, because usually they often use taxation to prevent you from moving, which is just a common thing, right? So in that context, try to do it earlier, sooner rather than later. If you encounter any challenge, any problem, discuss, reach out to me, because I believe that most of the time it's actually a solution. We always think like, okay, I cannot do that because of this, but is it really a blocker for you to move earlier? Don't you have any other solution? Can someone help you on that? Usually there's always solution. Seldom encounter a solution with like where we can't solve it. There's no way. All right. So that was a short video to answer to the concern, the question from that guy, but also make it useful for others, because it's not the first time that I hear this. I'm thinking to do it to my residency, for instance, in August 2025. Really? Can't you do it earlier? And you've got to distinguish here if you're really moving to Paraguay or if you're just doing your residency. If you're just doing your residency, then try to do it early, because Factor in as well that on Paraguay side, there's so many people asking for residency right now that the situation is dynamic. They won't warn you, but one day they are going to change the rule basically again, as they have been doing for the permanent to temporary residency, not allowing you to go directly for permanent residency. It's going to change again. There's so much demand. You just go to immigration, you understand how many people apply a day. It's insane. And most of the people apply, I would say, not to move to Paraguay, but just to have a backup plan. And in that context, the Paraguayan government, knowing that, it's very easy to change the rule because it will impact, I suspect it would mostly impact the people who just ask for a plan B. If they don't plan to move to Paraguay, then why continuing to process so many people? Of course, they make money out of you, but like at some point, their department, their staff will be short, will be tired of processing so many demands, and they will ask to change the rules. So don't be surprised that from one day to another day, and I suspect at either end of 2024 or mid 2025, the rule will change for Paraguay. And in that context, if Paraguay is just a plan B, you need to think of other countries. I think the situation is dynamic where, yes, Paraguay is a good plan for the next, I would say, easily 2, 3, 4 years, if there's not something crazy here. But then the situation globally will change and new countries will open as opportunities because another leader, be it Milei or whatever leader in the world, will say, my country will stand against the WEF and say against this globalist plan, and you're welcome to come, and we're gonna change the rules for migration. And in that context, yeah, today you're thinking of Paraguay, but tomorrow, in 2 years' time, might be another country. The situation is highly dynamic, and this is something you need to factor in inside your plan. It means your plan needs to be flexible. Cheers.